And so Paul is writing, and he says to this people, he says, I'm amazed that you are so quickly deserting him who called you by the grace of Christ, and that you're doing that for a different gospel, which is not really another gospel. Only there are some who are disturbing you who want to distort the gospel of Christ. But even though we or an angel from heaven should preach to you a gospel that is contrary to that which we have preached to you, let him be accursed. So in the early church, just as it's getting going really, there were other people that would come along and laid claim to, oh yes, we're speaking about the same God that Paul is. We're teaching you something of the truth of the Lord. It's not talking about people who just are wrong in their beliefs, people of other religions or people who haven't yet encountered the Lord, because obviously what people who don't know the Lord believes isn't what the Lord would teach. So he's not saying let every other religion and every other group of people and anyone that doesn't believe like we believe, let them all be accursed. That's not what he's saying. He's saying that if somebody comes to you in the name of the Lord, and they're pretending to be a person, maybe even sincerely they believe that what it is that they are sharing to you is the word of the Lord, but it really isn't the gospel. It isn't the message that you've heard talked about before. When such a one comes, and even if they are so spiritual that they're like an angel, or people will talk about how angels are leading them or guiding them and stuff like that, whoa. He says, let such a person who is trying to change the essential message of the gospel, let them be accursed. The word anathema. Another way you could sort of translate it in our vernacular that you would understand the gist of what he's saying, let them mutilate themselves, is the basic idea. Pretty strong language. And it brings up a subject that I think probably no spiritual leader is really comfortable with, because nobody wants to say to another person that what you're saying isn't true, isn't right. It doesn't line up with the Word of God. We're kind of trained to be nice people. We are supposed to be Christian and be loving and to be very accepting of the wildest, most extreme beliefs and perspectives. And you get into the habit of being so generous and so Christian and so loving and so accepting of so many people, and that's fantastic. Except in the case where someone is coming along in the name of the Lord, trying to pretend that they're preaching the gospel, and they really aren't speaking what is true. And in those instances, Paul's language is, let those people, however spiritual they may seem, let them be accursed. And it's the strongest language that he uses. It's really similar to what Jesus said about the really religious people. Jesus he didn't have many happy thoughts for the super religious, legalistic people. And he would say things to them that were strong, just like what Paul was saying. And I know for most of us that kind of jars our thinking a little bit, and we say, wow, what a mean guy. What's the big deal? But Paul understood that if people end up believing what is false, just in the same way that if they go down a road that somebody says, oh, sure, yeah, this will totally get you where you want to go, but it's not the right road, and somebody goes down that road a very long way and misses where it is that they wanted to end up. It's not a very kind thing that person has done. And Paul is saying, we are not going to let this just sort of slide and not be a big deal.